Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast Postgame show. Let me fix my camera. It's kind of messed up. I don't know why. Okay, camera's all fixed. We'll get into this postgame show, but before we do, get into the quarter notes, go over the box score, the team stats. I do have kind of a mini announcement for this YouTube channel and this podcast going forward. We actually got a pretty big sponsor that is going to be on this podcast for the year of 2026. And we're really excited about that. I'll be able to share more very soon. But I did want to kind of give you guys a heads up that we are going to have a sponsor. If you watch basketball games or NBA games, you're very familiar with this sponsor. But I did want to kind of give you guys an update there with the podcast and the show going forward. Really excited to be able to work with them. But let's get into this post game show. Did want to just kind of do a little announcement, let you guys know what's going on behind the scenes with me and the podcast going forward. Really early on in this game, it looked like Charlotte was looking to play fast, and JB saw it right away, called the timeout. It was 8-4. Duran was just taking advantage of the rookie Ryan Kalkbrenner. Had 6 points in the first quarter. Star Thompson was doing a hell of a job with just his defense on LaMelo Ball. He actually had to leave the game because he jammed his hand. You didn't really see him back until the start of the second quarter. The bench unit got the Pistons the lead. I was really impressed about Jaden Ivey, and it was more on the defensive end of the floor with him. He's just had multiple games this year since he's come back from injury where his defense has been really good. Had a good closeout, created a fast break opportunity for himself. It was an and one, got to the free throw line. Very next possession, he was playing some help defense, poke the ball. They pass it out to Cade, and Cade has a transition dunk, and it really helped the Pistons just, get out to an early first quarter lead. It was 33-27. Cade Cunningham had 8 points in this first quarter. So Cade was in his bag tonight. I think a lot of people were paying attention to the LaMelo Ball versus Cade Cunningham matchup, especially on Twitter. Don't know if you guys saw it. Charlotte's Hornets Twitter was talking a lot of crap about how they thought LaMelo Ball was better, but we'll probably get into that after like the Q&A section if you guys are curious about that. If not, we'll just keep talking Pistons basketball on that. Going into the second quarter, neither team could really actually get out to a lead. It was like a tug of war. It was like back and forth until around like the last 3 minutes of the second quarter. The Pistons kind of surged. They went on a 10-0 run, and they were able to go in the halftime with the 55-45 lead. Coming out of halftime, the Pistons surged, and believe it or not, they were up 20 points. But then Charlotte got back in this one. It's kind of funny. As soon as LaMelo Ball picked up his, I believe, fourth foul or fifth foul, I think it was his fifth foul, if I do remember correctly, they kind of go on a run. They kind of play more freely without him. And they were just hitting threes, whether it was Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, and they got this game within 7 to end the third quarter. So the Pistons were up as much as 20 points on them very early on in the third quarter, and Charlotte does come back in this one. And it's kind of been a thing with this team is like they're winning a lot of games, but I think the next step for this team is to close out teams and keep their foot on the gas. I feel like a lot of times if we have like 20 to 15 point lead, we kind of get a little bit like lackadaisical and allow teams to come back. So that was the end of the third quarter, 79-72. Going into the fourth, the Charlotte Hornets were, still on that run. It was a 19-3 run. And JB obviously sees what's going on. He allows them to play through it. Jalen Duran was just eating in the post, had a scary fall. He was okay. But after that fall, the Pistons just made good defensive possessions and they capitalized on it. They went up double digits and it was a 29-2 run. Cade Cunningham finished the game with the triple double. This is the first game this season where the Pistons have held their opponent to 80 points. The Charlotte Hornets only scored 86, believe it or not. 112-86 was the final score. That's the lowest points that they've allowed against any team this year so far. Really good game. I think you see defensively what this team can be when they're locked in and focused. I think it's just trying to get them to play that full 48 because I felt like they could have closed Charlotte out very early on in the third quarter, but they kind of let them surge and go on that like 19-3 run. But overall, it was a very entertaining game. Pistons end the week 2-1. Obviously, that Dallas game was a stinger for sure. They would have made shots. I still feel like they would have won that game. But, you end the new year at home with the win. You're not going to be playing at LCA until I think 2026 because they have this West Coast trip coming up, which is going to be very late games. I'm still undecided whether or not I'm going to be staying up for these post-game podcasts. You guys can let me know if you do want me to do post-game podcast around 2-3 in the morning after these West Coast games. I'm not really sure if you guys will stay up with me. Maybe you'll catch it later on during the day, but let me know down below in the comment section if you're watching live on YouTube if you do want me to do post-game podcast for this West Coast trip. Let's get into the box score and the team stats, and we'll open up the show to comments and questions. So if we kind of just look at the box score, we can go over it. Tobias Harris had 16 points in this one. A bulk of his points came in the second half. 5 out of 8 from the field, 6 out of 8 from the free throw line. Also grabbed 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Was a plus 22 in this one. Duncan Robinson had a bounce back game after bumping knees and kind of had a scare there with the injury. Only played 25 minutes in this one. Had 15 points, 5 out of 10 from the field, 4 to 9 from the three, 1 for 1 from the free throw line. Grabbed 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and had a dunk. And that's the first time I've actually seen him dunk tonight this season. He was also a plus 22 in the plus minus in this box score. Jalen Duren in 25 minutes had 19 points, 9 out of 16 from the field, 1 out of 2 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. He was a plus 13. Cade Cunningham in 36 minutes, 22 points, 9 out of 20 from the field, 1 out of 5 from 3, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, only 2 turnovers, which we love to see him taking care of the basketball, 2 steals. He was a plus 33 in this one. Someone actually made a joke, and if you guys watched the game, he had the braids in and he had the headband in. Someone made the joke that he's trying to dress up like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get free throws, which I actually found hilarious because he did kind of look like Shai with the headband and the braids in tonight. But happy to see Cade get a triple-double, 14th career triple-double. Looked great out there. He really did. Sar Thompson had an aggressive game, played 26 minutes, 14 points, 5 out of 8 from the field, 4 out of 6 from the free throw line. Love to see him knock down those free throws. I know he had a free throw game recently where he was only 1 for 7. Love to see him, make those free throws. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, 3 steals, 4 blocks. Man, he's just such a menace out there. He was a plus 25 in this one. Off the bench, Paul Reed did play some garbage time, had 1 block. In 2 minutes played, Isaiah Stewart in 24 minutes played had 8 points, 2 out of 7 from the field, 1 out of 3 from 3, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line. Cashed in 9 rebounds, 1 steal. Was a plus 16 in this one, or a plus 11 in this one, excuse me. Ron Holland was actually a plus 16 in the box score in 23 minutes. He had 9 points, 3 out of 11 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. Obviously, he did not have the best shooting night, but just his impact and energy off the bench, I think we've all grown accustomed to, and we love that for Ron Holland. Javonte Green had 14 minutes off the bench, had 2 points, shot 1 out of 4 from the field, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals in this one. I mean, I feel like every time I'm reading these box scores, he has at least a steal or two. Really makes the most of his minutes. Karis LeVert only played 18 minutes in this one, scored 2 points, and they were both at the free throw line. Went perfect from there. 0 out of 2 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 1 block. Marcus Sasser, again, he kind of played in garbage time, only played 2 minutes. Had 1 rebound and 1 assist in this one. Jaden Ivey in limited minutes, still 13 minutes off the bench, 5 points, 2 out of 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 1 for 1 from the free throw line. What was that and one that he had in the first quarter? 1 rebound, 2 assists, only 1 turnover, and also cashed in a steal as well. And Dennis Jenkins, 4 minutes off the bench and grabbed 1 rebound. But overall, this is a team that plays almost every single guy. I think the only guy that did not play was, I want to say, Wendell Moore. He was a DNP, coach's decision. So, I mean, JB just couldn't find minutes for Wendell Moore in this one. But it's been a rotation that has been pretty deep on a night-to-night basis. If we do kind of look at the team stats across with the Charlotte Hornets and the Pistons, they held the Charlotte Hornets to 31% shooting. Hornets did make quite a bit of threes. They were 13 out of 41, but still only shot 32%. The Pistons, respectively, from 3 didn't shoot that well. 6 out of 28, only 21%. They shot 44% from the field in this one. Got to the free throw line quite a bit, 24 to 32 for the Pistons, 75%. I'd like them to cash in their free throws. I know it's like nitpicking at this point, but I think a lot of times this year there have been games where, the free throws really matter down the stretch. I'd like to see them shoot around 80% on most nights because I think they're more than capable of it. They had 61 rebounds in this one, 17 offensive rebounds. They out-rebounded Charlotte by quite a bit. As you guys can see, Charlotte only had 43 rebounds. The Pistons had 23 assists. And the turnovers, you don't like to see up to 19 turnovers. I feel like a lot of these turnovers tonight are very fixable. It's not something that we should be overly concerned with. They did had 16 steals and 10 blocks in this one. The defense really got it done. 29 fast break points in the paint. He obliterated the Hornets 66 to 28. But, really sound win for the Pistons in this one. I think the one thing that does really stand out is our 3-point shooting. Still, we're just not a very good 3-point shooting team, but we do make up for it for scoring in the painted area. I do want to open up the show to comments and questions with you guys. And I do see a couple that I want to start and go over. So just give me a couple of minutes. I do see a couple people just leaving comments right now. I do want to go over this one. It comes from Marquez. And he says, good bounce back win. I hope Ivy finds his shot by the All-Star break. The Pistons are going to need another shooter if they don't make a trade. Yeah, I feel like if I'm being objective as possible with Jaden Ivey and not being biased, I feel like his highs are very high and his lows are very low. Like when he's making shots, it looks great. When he's not, it's very noticeable. But what I will say is his defense has me impressed. Like I didn't mention his offense tonight because he really didn't shoot the ball the best. But I think in the defensive possessions that I've seen from him this year, it's good. Obviously, 13, 14 minutes a night. I don't know when that is going to get lifted. If I did have to guess, probably sometime in 26, maybe January, maybe like first, second week in January. Maybe they start lifting him around 20 minutes a game. It's probably set by the Pistons medical staff of trying to keep him under, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes a game if JB can help it. But yeah, really would like to see him, make shots more consistently. Marquez, 100% agree. I think the Pistons are still searching for that secondary scorer on the roster, if it is on the roster. If not, I do see them trying to address more perimeter shooting. I do see them looking to add a 3-point specialist. Obviously, that is Duncan Robinson, but I think it would help this team so much to add more 3-point shooting, because you wouldn't have to live in the paint as much as you do in the free throw line to try to win basketball games night in and night out. Not saying that they can't continue to do that, but I can see there'll be games where you're just not shooting the ball the best, and you need more 3-point shooting to just kind of change things up, because I think this team has shown the ability to just dominate in the paint like every damn night. But adding more 3-point shooting, I think, can actually throw teams off, because they're expecting you to live in the paint, and that's kind of like in the game plan. But if you add another 3-point shooter with the Duncan Robinson, maybe you add more than one 3-point shooter, who knows who's going to be available at this deadline. I think it does um, a lot of good if you're JB Bickerstaff and the Pistons and Trajan in the front office, if you're able to kind of pull off of getting more perimeter shooting. Red Baron does have a comment about Ivy. I know folks are getting impatient with Ivy, but I've actually really enjoyed his passing vision this year. Hopefully it's a sign that the game is starting to slow down for him. Like, when I'm watching him sometimes, I know we just kind of talked about him not having the best offensive game, and it's kind of been like very inconsistent. The one thing with him is his playmaking. Some of the reads that he can make are great. I've always kind of liked his vision, the way he can pass, find the open man. Some of his just quick reaction of finding a teammate or just whipping it athletically to a guy in the corner, and you're like, how the hell did he make that pass? It's always been good. I remember seeing a post from Basketball Index this past summer. I probably should have bookmarked it so I could show it on the podcast, but I didn't know you were going to actually ask this question. Was his playmaking ability was like in the A+ range when they do graded of just setting teammates up. He's always had a really good feel for the game in terms of just like facilitating, but I think there are some positives with Jaden Ivey. Obviously, the defense, his playmaking. He has been playing a little bit slower. Maybe that has to do with breaking his leg and getting accustomed to playing on that leg again. Then he just had the arthroscopic surgery on his knee, but you do see a little burst here and there with him throughout the game. Ryan said, first game at LCA from the ATL for the holiday. Braided Kate is a demon. Well, shout out that you made it out to your first game at Little Caesars Arena from Atlanta. So I take it that you're a Piston fan, not a Hawk fan. Would love to see it. Love to see it. Speaking of Hawks, we do have a comment talking about Club 520. Now, you guys don't know who Club 520 is. It's Jeff Teague's podcast, one of the funniest NBA podcasts out there. I routinely watch Club 520 quite a bit because they're just very entertaining. I love Jeff Teague, Behan. They're hilarious, absolutely hilarious. They were at the game. Cade Cunningham actually gave them a jersey to take back to the studio. Jeff Teague recently went on his podcast and talked about how more people should talk about Cade in the MVP conversations with Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Cade gave him a jersey for them to take back to the studio. That's cool that they came out to come see Cade Cunningham after Jeff Teague was kind of saying, like, I was dead wrong about Cade. Cade is that dude. And he owned up on it. And I respect that for him as like a NBA podcaster that does a national podcast every morning. But shout out to Club 520, Behan, Jeff Teague, all the guys over there for linking up with Cade after the game, and Cade gave him a jersey. Why won't the Pistons draft or sign 3-and-D players? I feel like they've drafted players that have defensive intangibles, like Asar Thompson, Ron Holland. The 3-point shot just hasn't developed yet. I would I could argue Javonte Green is kind of a 3-and-D player, but his three-point shot isn't like around 35, like 36%, like I think some Pistons fans would want. Um, I think that's something that obviously they're hoping Ron Holland and Asar Thompson can translate to eventually in their careers. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen this year where both of them are shooting like high 30s from three. But I think defensively, you love what you see out of Asar. Like, I think he had like, what, 3 steals, 4 blocks tonight. He was a monster out there. Ron Holland is just a dog defensively off the bench. Obviously, we'd like to see them shoot more. Um, it's just really hard to find a 3-and-D player in the draft that's established. Um, you could argue Javonte Green. You could. I mean, last year they didn't really sign any 3-and-D players. Um, we all knew Malik Beasley could shoot the hell out of the ball, but we know he's not a defender. Same with THJ, like he could shoot the hell out of the ball. But outside of taking, charges last year, I mean, that's really the only defense he played consistently. He was getting blown by, it seemed like every other possession, but it's hard to find 3-and-D players. It really is. That's why so many teams are like looking at Trey Murphy, looking at Herb Jones, this trading deadline season, because players that can shoot threes and play defense are very hard to come by. And that's why you see so many general managers take swings on defensive archetypes like Asar Thompson, because if they can translate into a 3-and-D player, they're very valuable. Patrick says he was at the game. Sick defense. Yeah, they played really, really well. I mean, holding Charlotte to 30% shooting kind of gives you like the going to work Piston vibes, the way they were just clamping up. But Charlotte definitely struggled to shoot the ball, but you can credit Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham out there. They were just causing havoc and running in transition and capitalizing on Charlotte's mistakes. We'll do one more comment with this post game show because I have not eaten dinner yet and it's almost going on midnight. So this is a comment about JB Bickerstaff. And it says, I think JB doesn't get enough credit for all the good things that are going on this season so far. And they also go on to say, and the disrespect from some other media pisses me off. I think this team is for real, and the front office should do anything to keep this team together. So this comment comes from, hopefully I'm not butchering your name. It's SJ EP. I'll just say STJ. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name because I will butcher the hell out of it. But kind of getting back to your JB comment, I think you're right. JB doesn't get enough credit. Obviously, here locally, we praise him all the time. I think what you see on the floor is players that want to play for him, and him just constantly telling these players like, hey, sky's the limit for you. I think you can be an MVP type player when we're talking about Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren was recently on the Zach Lowe podcast this past week, and he had touched on JB saying like, sky's the limit for you. I think you can be a really good player. And I think a lot of people categorize JB as just a defensive minded coach, but I think he's done a very good job of working with our bigs and Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Paul Reed. I think he's done a really good job of, working with Cade Cunningham, working with the guards. Like, I don't really think he gets enough credit. A lot of people just label him as this defensive coach, but the development that we've seen in 2 short seasons with him, obviously we're in the second season of JB Bickerstaff's tenure, he's really turned it around in terms of like, the expectation for a Pistons game now is we go into the game knowing this team's going to compete and give them a chance to win each and every game. The job that he's done with this core, building the culture back to what a lot of Pistons fans love, grew up watching these teams, whether it was the Bad Boys or the Going to Work Pistons. Like he's kind of embraced the culture here in Detroit of paying his respect to the way that they defended. And I honestly think he doesn't get enough credit. I think he should be Coach of the Year favorite. I think he'll probably be coaching the Eastern Conference All-Stars, but the way the All-Star game is now, I don't know. I think that's like a bunch of tournaments. Maybe he will be out there coaching them, but um, there's a lot to love about JB Bickerstaff, and I think he's a coach that the Pistons have needed um, for a very long time because he's going to make them play hard. He'll hold them accountable, and I think the players would just run through a brick wall for him, right? Like it's a lot about um, just the believability with this team night in and night out. And we have a comment saying best defensive game of the year. I agree. I mean that was just a hell of a game. That I know we're talking about JB Bickerstaff and how as fans we believe he deserves more credit. But yeah, I mean the defense tonight was incredible. And we see what this team is capable if they do lock in defensively and just communicate and get steals, run in transition, protect the rim out there. But they are a very good defensive team. Believe they're a top 5 defensive team. I know they're one of the better defensive rating teams in the NBA this season. They're, I believe, 9th in points per game, and we're not a good 3-point shooting team, which is just crazy to think about. Don't know if they can keep up a top 10 points per game average throughout the season, but hey, I'm not complaining if they do. Just the defense tonight was incredible. I do want to wrap up this podcast, you guys. Still on the fence whether or not we're going to be doing these post-game shows with these West Coast trips. I'll probably make a decision by tomorrow and let you guys know because there are 4 West Coast trip games next week. But hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Go Pistons. Have a good night. Peace.